Okay, 7:03, it looks like. Melrose called to order.
And Wakefield Board of Health will come to order as well on the 13th of
May.
Okay. Do you want me to share the agenda?
Yeah, if you want.
If I can find it, let's see.
I don't think there's much on it to share, really.
I know, but
She just likes to show off
I'm just trying to.
because I don't know how to do that. So the approval of the minutes for May 6th. Carol Ann, you will need to abstain.
Okay.
Everybody else, we actually sent them out early this time, so everybody had time to read them. Anybody have any changes they want?
Not that I saw, no, but I'm trying to find them.
I thought they looked good.
Okay, can somebody make a motion to approve?
Make the motion to approve minutes of the meeting.
I second the motion.
All in favor?
Roll call.
Yep. Laurel, I. Candace,
Candace, aye.
and Elaine.
Aye.
Okay.
Does Frank want to make a motion to approve them?
Yes, Frank does want to make a motion to approve the minutes for the Board of Health meeting from May 6th for the Board of Melrose.
And seconded by Maureen, approval?
Branchero says yes.
And Garapay says yes, thank you.
There you go. And Carol Ann's abstaining, so it's 2-0-1. Okay, discussion about permit fees. The one of the full-service restaurants asked about, we did at the last meeting talk about prorating fees for restaurants that aren't open until later in the year, although to be honest with you, there's not too many of those. But anyway, in this case, the question was if they're only allowed to do takeout and delivery and they're not a full-service restaurant, would there be a break in their fees? And we did not discuss that last time. So I'm leaving it, I'm opening it for discussion.
Any idea on how much of a break you'd propose?
I'm not proposing anything, I'm just bringing it up.
Oh, or for instance, like half or like 25% or something like that?
Yeah, maybe 25%. The full service restaurants, I believe, is $200. So it would be 150. I mean, we don't even know at this point. Well, the Melrose fee, the Melrose permits expire the end of this month.
Mhm.
And the Wakefield permits expire the end of next month. We don't know what the governor is going to announce on Monday, whether that will include a relaxing for the restaurants or not. We have no idea. So, but we would need to make that decision.
So would it be a lot of like paperwork or a lot of work for like the clerks to do to keep track of anything like that, Ruth, or would it be easy because no one really has full service?
Well, I think for Melrose, because we're already been receiving them, I think what I could do is hold the checks and not deposit them. I mean, they would have to be deposited by the end of June, both towns, because that's the end of the fiscal year. And we have started getting some of our applications back because they're due in 2 weeks. But we could hold the fees. It's a pain to deposit and then try to refund.
Right.
But it's not a problem if we hold the checks and then ask for new checks depending on what happens.
I think that's a good idea. If the governor does something statewide. But we should probably have a plan B in case that does not happen.
In case what doesn't
In case the governor does not come out with some kind of statewide plan.
Well, he will, but I don't think it's going to be this Monday. I don't think those are the businesses that are in his first round. I could be wrong, but he's been saying businesses that have very little contact face to face with the public. So I'm thinking he's thinking more about manufacturing and those kinds of businesses, but
Yeah.
we'll see because he's not saying anything.
So just backing up, I mean, what we know is that restaurants have taken a hit, period. And what we know is even if they open, they're not going to be able to fill their dining rooms because they'll, you know, we're guessing there'll be some sort of criteria, and not to mention there'll be a lot of there'll be a lot of reticence on consumer side. So no matter what, the restaurants are taking quite a hit. On our side, you know, checking a kitchen takes the same amount of work. So it's not really any less work, except, you know, the restaurants have maybe had more time to do copious cleaning because they haven't been as rushed. But I think this is more acknowledging the straits that restaurants are in, and not in no way, I don't think that the inspectors will be doing any less work. So it's, you know, the
It's
work.
a little less work, not a lot less, because when they're only open for takeout and delivery, they all have abbreviated menus, so they're not making as many different kinds of foods. But yeah, the basics are the basics, so.
Yeah. You know, I mean, we don't recoup our costs with our fees anyways as to.
Right.
What kind of fees are we talking about? These are yearly fees, and how much roughly, ballpark?
So they're annual fees, and they range between 100 and 200. So a full-service restaurant would be 200, plus, I believe, I should have brought home a fee schedule, which I didn't, but I think, Cindy, isn't it 75 for catering?
Yes.
So I think the most a restaurant would have would be 275.
No, 75, 20, it's 25 extra on their annual fee if they do catering. So,
Okay, so 225 would be the most they'd be paying.
yes,
And like the pizza places pay 150 or 100?
100.
100. So, but the pizza places, well, I don't know. Some of them are not full service right now either. So if it was 25% off, instead of 100, they'd be paying $75. Instead of 200, they'd be paying $150. If it was 25%.
So it's more like a goodwill gesture in a way.
Yes.
It seems,
Yeah.
yeah, which is always a
Yeah.
good thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think we had touched on this briefly and kind of decided that, yeah, as a goodwill gesture, you're not talking a huge amount of money either way, and that doing something would be a good gesture.
Mhm.
Well, we had talked about it as prorating, not on, this is different.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
So how would this work? Is it like 25% per month, or like how does it, like if 1 month into the year restaurants are allowed to fully reopen, but the first month they're not?
Ugh.
How does this
But I
25% work?
Are we sort of recognizing the loss that they've already
Yeah.
sustained by doing this now, even though potentially going forward, there might not be as much of a loss as there has been this past year?
yeah, but I think even when they open, you know, you're going to have people who aren't going to jump at the first chance to go out. People are still going to be a little cautious, and you're still going to have the social distancing. You're not going to be able to serve as many people at a time, et cetera.
No, I
don't think they're going to bounce right back.
Well, you could kind of do it as a combination and just say, for this 1 year, that we're decreasing all food fees by 25%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that would be reasonable, I think.
So
And we-
technically speaking, to do that, that's a change in our fee regulation. So we would need to, we'd have to put a legal notice in and have a public hearing and blah, 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 which we can do for next week. Well, we can't do for Melrose because there's not enough time to put it in the paper. We can for Wakefield.
Well, are you gonna have a split meeting?
No,
You're assuming Melrose meets on Mondays, but we've been doing joint meetings.
No, I would continue to have joint meetings. I'm just saying,
How much time do you need for Melrose?
well, the paper only comes out once a week on Thursdays.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So
Okay.
that's why today's Wednesday. It couldn't be in next week's, it couldn't be obviously in tomorrow's
Right.
paper.
Right, I gotcha.
I guess it could be in next week's paper if we met on Thursday night. Because the paper comes out on Thursday, right, Cindy?
Or-
No, we get the paper. You're talking about the Melrose paper or the Wakefield paper comes on daily?
I know, I'm talking about the Melrose paper because you.
Oh, I get that
Melrose
on
Free Press is Thursday.
Friday.
No, the Free Press is Thursday.
It comes on
but
Thursday?
The weekly news, the one that's free, is on Friday.
Okay,
All right, so if we posted it, if we put the legal notice in the Free Press, that would be on Thursday and we could meet Thursday night. Both boards could meet Thursday
Yeah.
night
Yeah.
and we would cover the legal notice.
Mhm.
Which,
Okay.
by the way, technically we don't have to do, but we always have done, and I always encourage it. I'm just saying, because there's no lawyers on the board now, just so you know.
They're watching, so.
But yeah, but I would encourage that anyway. So we could do that.
Okay,
All right, so that's what we'll do. We'll put a little notice in that for 1 year only, all food fees, so that would be any food fee.
Yeah,
To make this a little easier, would
Right.
be 25% less. Okay,
And
and I'll
does-
tell Louise not to deposit any checks.
Ruth, does that change the prorating? Are we not doing the prorating and just doing the 25% off?
Good question.
yeah, I was thinking,
I think that's going to be difficult to do both personally.
I thought we'd do one or the other.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Would it be easier to just do the flat 25% rather than
Yes.
have the,
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So because Melrose is already doing re-permitting, I'll have Louise send an email out tomorrow telling people, I guess, not to send a check in, send in the rest of their application, but without a check until after Thursday's meeting. How's that?
that's fine.
Sounds good.
You know, if it's not in on June 1st, we'll be a little lax because they're having such short notice.
Yeah. And do they need to send their application in until they have the check with it? I mean,
I
Does
think they
that
have all the paperwork in like they're supposed to. And then if they can't get the check in by then, the check could come a little later.
okay.
How's that? That seems fair.
Mhm.
Frank, you're at the beach.
Yeah,
Oh,
this would be nicer.
I like the math that you had behind you before.
I was trying to
That
decide
was, it
what
was
that
making me
was.
dizzy, bringing back flashbacks.
So we're meeting instead on Thursday next week. Is that
14th, yes.
on
No, the
the
21st.
21st? Okay, same
Man,
time?
time's flown. Yeah,
Yeah, that works. Does that work for everybody else?
So do we need to make a motion to do this?
No,
Okay.
we don't because we won't put it in until there's a public meeting.
right. Candace, is that okay for you? You didn't shake your head about Thursday.
Yeah, that's fine, thanks.
Okay, just want to make sure. Okay, good. What's next on our agenda?
The health director's report. What do you want to tell us?
I'm trying to think if there's anything new from what I already wrote. I would say the only thing that's new is we've used up our money pretty much.
No, great.
No big surprise. Not exactly, but we're towards the end. All communities are going to be receiving another chunk of money through the CARES Act, but it's not coming to the health departments this time. It'll be going to the city and town. And they haven't told us how much it is, but it will be able to be used for anything COVID related. So it could pay for, fire overtime or, anything. So at this point, our only expenses, but they are expenses, are still about $3,000 a week in paying Karen and Robin for contact tracing. And I to see that for the foreseeable future, even though our cases are plateauing, between the contacts that keep coming and the newest recommendation that close contacts be tested, that's going to increase again the number of cases. So
Yeah.
I don't see that changing, but I've told both the mayor and the town administrator, be sure to leave some of that money to pay for the contact tracing. So that's what's going on with that.
Wasn't the DPH going to designate some money specifically for contact tracing, or haven't they already?
Well, that's the money that they gave us up front. So we got $100,000 for Wakefield and Melrose. And we have spent it on contact tracing, the rooms at the hotel for people who need to be elsewhere to isolate or quarantine, and the masks. That's basically what it's been spent on.
And those rooms are going to be over soon, right?
Our contract is up on Friday.
Yeah.
We had 2 people there this week. As of today, just 1. So I'm going to talk to Tom Walsh, who's the EMD in Wakefield, who's kind of arranged it all to say, what do we want to do? I don't know if I want to continue paying for 13 rooms every week.
Yeah, I mean, I would think they're certainly not busy. I would think that you could do, per diem.
Ad hoc as needed.
I don't think they're open at all except for this.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they're allowed to be open except for this. So I was going to talk to Tom about could we somehow change the contract with them to be it on a per diem basis. So that's what's going on with that. The only other thing is very preliminary discussions about reopening City Hall and Town Hall, about bringing employees back and or bringing the public back. It's purely a discussion at this point. The governor has come out with minimum safety standards for all workplaces, which are, pretty basic, what you would expect. I did have virtual department meetings today, one with Wakefield staff, one with Melrose staff, to hear what their concerns were and what their ideas were. Again, just as a preliminary discussion that both communities are starting with and just starting that discussion. We have to wait for the governor also to say it's okay, but we'd like to have plans in place.
What are the services that people can't do online or that you've been getting feedback about, we need to be open for this?
Well, that's a very interesting question. And one of the things that we have talked about is how so much can be done online. Not everything. Although there's been a lot of weddings in the parking lot lately for the city clerk. But there are some things in the assessor's office when you want to come and see. Sometimes they don't want to see it online. They want to physically see the map, although they can see it virtually. Veterans, there are clients that they need to talk to face who are having issues. I mean, there's most things that can be done virtually at this point. So, but
I know, I'm wondering too, if the department's gonna get kind of pulled into safe workplace scenarios.
well, that's what we're talking about.
Right. Well, but not just at town hall, but as people slowly open up.
Yeah, that's what the governor's already put out, his initial mandatory workplace safety standards.
Right.
So those came out earlier in the week, and that's for everybody, for whenever anybody opens up.
But the onus of inspection perhaps, or answering any queries about that might come back to the health department. Like to say, you know, they're not
I
doing
think
it
it's
right.
really going to go to DLI, which is who it's going to now. Department of Labor and Industries.
So you think it will be handled by the state? It won't be a local thing? Okay.
I don't think so.
Cindy, be ready with that number.
Yeah.
Yeah. And besides that, I think we're status quo, actually. Karen and I talked about actually purchasing some of the flu supplies now so that in case there's a mad rush later, we don't have to worry about it. So she's going to be placing syringe and alcohol wipe orders now. We do have some standing orders already for flu that we place in the spring that aren't set in stone. We can change them if we want to.
Right.
Hard to talk about flu for the fall when we're,
I can't even wrap my head around it.
yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
we still have to think about it.
Yep.
Ruth, is there any talk about getting face shields at City Hall for folks that are dealing directly with the public? Offering the City Hall employees working with the public face shields?
Well, actually, what we're more talking about is putting up plexiglass barriers as opposed to individual face shields. So people will be wearing masks, but we'll also have plexiglass between them, which I think is way more comfortable than a face shield, personally.
Yeah.
And I think every department that's practical to do will be done. In Melrose, we're talking about, well, actually in both communities, we're talking about using a Dutch door, which we already did in Melrose. So it's well, I don't know, you guys all know what a Dutch door is. So the half door would stay closed. People would stay in the hallway. It's actually what I had tried to do years ago because I didn't like all the public coming into our office space with all the different potentially confidential conversations going on. But my staff rebelled. So we abandoned it, but now everybody's saying, yeah, we should go back to that. There is a shelf already built in the hallway, so there's somewhere for people to write if they need to write something out. They can also leave their stuff there, and then Louise can go out to get it instead of being face-to-face with them. So she would be behind plexiglass where she's sitting at her desk, but they would still be staying in the hallway. And then we're talking about doing the same thing in Wakefield. I'm trying to set up an appointment with Chris Pierce. I sent him an email, but I haven't heard back from him. So I'm trying to set up to meet with him on Monday morning to talk about, those physical barriers. So That's what we were talking about instead of face shields, was the plexiglass barriers. And I know in Wakefield, they've already started ordering some of that for some of the departments. For our department, I'm thinking more, there are some that sit like on the shelf in front of the person, and they're 42 inches high,
Right.
plexiglass, and 36 inches. Do you like my 36 inches long and 42 inches high? So it wouldn't be an installed thing, because with the drop ceiling and everything, it gets kind of funky. So we're looking into those for in front of Cindy and in front of Louise. But again, all preliminary discussions. We've talked about how different people have different risk levels and concerns. So we're in the beginning stages, but we're definitely not there yet. And there may be a combination of remote work and office work in the future. It may become a new, it might become the new norm. But we'll see. No news yet about when we can go back to meeting in person for meetings or anything yet, so. I don't know, when we're meeting once a week, there's not a lot that happens between one week and the next, hopefully. So I don't know, any other questions? I'm still on most of the conference calls, so. Everybody from a local health perspective is just waiting not too patiently for the guidance on camps and pools and, the seasonal stuff.
Okay. I don't have anything to add. You've been doing fabulous work.
Yeah.
Do we have, I was just wondering, as I do all these follow-up calls, that I should have made my own Excel spreadsheet, but Elaine might know, when all this stuff goes into Maven, is there an overall report that comes back for each town that's inputting that stuff, or it just goes into Maven and we get nothing back?
Well, we can do our own reporting. Karen can make certain reports.
Okay. From the Maven.
Yep.
Good. Okay. So I was just,
A lot of you, it's kind of broken up now with the COVID. We never could do a lot of this. There's a new one that they're trying to teach 400 of us at one time, and it's not working well. But it's just because so many cities and towns want certain information, and sometimes the information that they have is not readily available, and if you don't put it in right, a lot of the new Maven users don't catch on to it right away, and they can't pull it. Like, you have to put your dates in from January 1st till like the day after you want the report. Like if I wanted to get into tomorrow thing. Yeah, it's kind of difficult. It's a little bit, and some of the information that is wanted, a lot of people want to know age groups, and at the beginning, none of that was ever recorded. So we can't say that what we would pull up as a number right now would even be correct.
Data in, data out,
Right. Yep. For sure. I'm gonna unmute Mark Sardella just in case. Mark, do you have any follow-up questions?
No.
Okay.
Yay.
All right.
All right. Well, we will post next meeting for next Thursday night at 7 o'clock.
Yep.
And obviously, as always, call me or email me if you need anything. And we'll be in a different place next week after the initial phase 1 rollout. So that'll be interesting to see.
And Ruth, congratulations on the awesome job with the masks.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
I think everybody was thrilled from the Facebook comments.
Yeah, that's good. Both Wakefield and Melrose.
Yeah.
And both communities got some good press on it, which is nice.
Yeah, just before you got on, I had noticed to everybody that our Facebook polls were looking better, if that
Can't please everybody all the time.
no. been interesting. So anyone want to make a motion to see you next week?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting for Wakefield.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor? Laurel? Aye. Candace?
Aye.
Elaine?
Aye.
And for Melrose, anybody want to make a motion?
Can I make a motion to adjourn the
Oh, yeah.
Yay.
First official.
meeting?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Oh, before you adjourn, sorry. Oh, late breaking. Carol Ann,
Yes,
you will not be able to vote next week
okay,
on the fees because Carol Ann's wife is a local business owner.
okay,
food
right.
Business owner in Melrose, so she can't vote on anything that could financially affect her household income, so.
Right,
But is-
Just
thank
a
you.
reminder.
Aren't we doing restaurants?
Yeah.
We're
She
doing
serves,
all food.
yeah, she sells
Okay.
food, yeah.
Oh, all right.
Okay,
That comes under a restaurant?
It is a food establishment permit, yes.
All right.
So you guys
Okay.
both have to be here next week, the other two of you.
Right. All
I
right.
think we have to remember.
Right. So all in favor? Frank?
Branchero, yes.
Carol Ann?
yes.
And Garapay, yes.
Thanks, guys.
Meeting is
Good night,
adjourned at
all.
Bye,
7:30.
guys.